Stephen, it is such a pleasure to have an opportunity to get an update on what's going on in Brazil. I mean, I love this Latin America's first permanent magnet production facility news release. How about we start there?
Sure. It's great to see you, Tracy. Thanks again for having us. We are very happy to be joining that group supporting the MAGBRAS development. Of course, I think Brazil is in a position to become a leader in the development of critical minerals across the board. And this first step in developing the magnet production in country is an important one. So we want to be part of that.
So, Stephen, they were talking about how they've developed a consortium, okay, on developing commercial production of permanent magnets with the mines to magnet theme. Was that your theme or is that their theme? And can you give us just a little bit more details on this?
Well, details it's still early days. Let's not forget. I mean, what they've got in place so far is they anticipate to commission the plant, the production facility sometime in Q1 of 25. And what they've pulled together is an extraordinary group of companies, from early exploration companies through to expertise on the development and production of magnets. So the entire spectrum's covered. And what they're trying to do is, with the support of the Brazilian government, so support of the BNDES and the systems that are in place to develop the critical minerals industry in Brazil. This is a small funding mechanism that will help in understanding how this moves forward, but it's not going to be a system that supports the full development of commercialization. It's just a starting point, and we're excited to be part of it.
Well, of course, with the CMI, we've discussed often about all the different governments that are actually investing in these types of supply chain opportunities to get exploration plays actually to production. And on that note, I noticed that you recently announced a new additional mineral claim for the PCH ionic absorption clay project in Brazil. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. We've been very excited with the work accomplished so far at PCH. Just for to jog everyone's memory, their background, we entered into an agreement last year, over the last 2 years now almost. And what we've done is we've done an extreme amount of work. We've drilled over 400 drill holes. We've produced a mineral resource estimate of some 50 million tons with an average grade across inferred and indicated of almost 2,800 ppm trio. And what we've accomplished also is we've identified 4 new target areas along the southern boundary of our massive project area. That area now, as you mentioned, with the extension of the new claim block, is over 42,000 hectares. So these 4 new target areas that run from west to east, what we're seeing is actually an increase in desorption levels. So, we talk about this word desorption. What that basically means is that the amount of rare earths that fall off the outside of these molecules, how much desorption. We talk about adsorption, which is adding them onto the molecule. Desorption is how can we get them off and put that into the fluid so that we can actually mine that. So the desorption levels are going up as we move further east, and those very important heavy rare earths are also increasing. So we're seeing an increase in the level of dysprosium and terbium, and also in pre-existing high levels of neodymium, praseodymium. So those precious rare earths that go into these permanent magnets that we're all talking about, we're very excited by the addition of this claim because it extends the 2 easternmost project areas called Merope and Taigueta, and we believe strongly that mineralization continues on into this new claim block.
Okay, well, you've had a lot of news in the last 30 days. Included in that was diamond drilling program. And I see potential high-grade mineralization in all 3 drill holes with regards to the PCH property and project. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure can.
Yeah, thank you.
So when we originally did our mineral resource estimate, we actually used a very small area. It was only approximately 500 hectares of this big property. And what we found when we were doing our original work was there was a high-grade zone in the southwest corner of Target 4. And as we've built furthered our understanding of the project area, we realized that some of these grades are extraordinary. So within the clay layers, we're talking about from surface down to about 25, 30 meters. We had intercepts that reached over 9% trio. These are extraordinarily high grade numbers with an average grade in that small, that not small, but it's quite a significant area, but that southwestern quadrant with an average grade of over 3% trio. So what we did, we decided we needed to bring a diamond drill in and actually test the hard rock potential at depth. So that was what you're referring to in that recent news. We completed 3 drill holes. Average depth per hole was around 150 meters, and we're still waiting for the results. But we believe it's a carbonatitic intrusion, a carbonatitic intrusion. And but once we understand further from assays, we'll be able to define and delineate the size and scope and depth of that potential area. So it's very exciting for us. With those kind of grades, it's extraordinary.
Moving over to Saskatchewan, you just put out news in the last week about recently completing airborne gravity gradiometer survey over your Alces Lake project. Okay, I had a hard time pronouncing that, but can you explain to us what that is and what kind of results you achieved from doing this?
No problem. So let's call it AGG because I can't pronounce it either. So what the AGG survey allows us to do is get a much better picture subsurface at depth. And in our world of exploration, we try and layer as much information on top of one another as we can. And we've done quite a significant amount of work up at the Alces Lake project through drilling and various geophysics surveys, et cetera, and ground surveys. But as we layer that information on, we are able to get a better picture. This gravity survey allowed us to take a peek below at depth that we haven't had in the previous surveys. And what we are very happy to see is some very strong indications of potential targets. Now, that depth could go from 200 meters all the way down to 1,000 meters. What we're planning on doing is drill testing that theory. The rig has been mobilized. And what we hope to see is that we can intercept that exciting potential new zone at depth, starting in that 150 to 200 meter range. And that would open up a tremendous amount of opportunity at Alces Lake. We're seeing these type of targets all the way down along the structural corridor that we previously have discussed in our news and in various conversations with you. That structural corridor along the eastern boundary of the property runs for kilometers, and we're seeing the signature all the way down there. So it's exciting. It's early days yet, but we're going to have a very good sense of the theory transitioning into reality in the short term. So more information to come in very short order.
And of course, we're missing the main keyword from your most recent news release, which is gallium, especially with the Chinese announcing export restrictions on gallium. Is it true? You've got some gallium?
What we've found with regards to gallium is wherever we find the high-grade mineralization, we found associated gallium in decent grades. So we're after that high-grade mineralization because, of course, with that association, we anticipate seeing it continuing wherever we find that high-grade monazite. So it's exciting. Again, as far as work is concerned, that association is clear to us, and we're hopeful that this drilling campaign will intercept more of that high-grade material.
So, Stephen, of course, we're all looking forward to 2025, and we all have our fingers crossed about what's going to happen with the critical minerals sector in the capital markets. Can you tell us some of the highlights you have on your to-do list for 2025?
Sure. Of course, we have a lot of work to do on all these projects. We have the Elliott Lake project that still is in play with regards to our existing MOU. We have a number of other potential suitors who are lining up to throw their hat in the proverbial ring with regards to Elliott Lake. We have our uranium projects that are earlier stage. We have 4 of them in the Athabasca region along the eastern boundary of the basin, as well as one right in the middle. We'll continue to do work there. And then ramping up based on these results, as we've just discussed, based on the results of this upcoming drill program, we'll be ramping up a work program for Alces Lake. And all that to be said, that's a Canadian team. We have a completely separate team down in Brazil, and we'll continue to move that project forward at the PCH and continue drilling and moving towards that possibility. We need a PEA in place. We need to decide whether or not that justifies moving forward towards production, and always constantly having conversations with potential partners and discussing how we might be able to move these big projects forward effectively and efficiently and quickly.
Well, for everybody out there interested in finding out more about Appia rare earths and uranium, please go to their website. Thank you, Stephen, for joining us, and Happy New Year.
Thanks so much, Tracy. Have a great day.